All right, we got a brave volunteer. Give her a hand, y'all. Put your papers down because you really won't need them.
Do you need to come up there?
Yes, come on.
I
And your name is?
Amy.
This is Amy, everyone. Say hello, Amy.
Hello, Amy.
Amy, if you were blind or visually impaired, and let's just bring that on.
I was going to say, if I take off my glasses, it probably is about the same. But I will put it on.
Okay. She's going to put on her, we call them blindfolds, okay?
All right.
And if you were trying to help somebody go through a narrow part of the library and you saw them there and you wanted to help them, you'd grab them and say, okay, come on. Okay, did you see what she did? I'm sorry, Lando. Lando's like, don't do that to her. No. You're fine. Stay there. Really, seriously, we're good. I promise I will not hurt her. This is Amy. Okay. So what you just saw was something that's sort of a natural thing with us. If you are pulled and you feel suddenly taken off kilter and unsafe because you're unsure what's going on around you, you're going to dig in. And so you saw she dug in, and dug in quite strongly too. You're pretty, she works out or something. So you want to provide sighted guide to somebody in a safe, you're going to give them safety through your voice, through your tone, through the words you say. You're going to, and through the power you give her. When you grabbed her, who was in control? Right. How is she going to feel about some stranger just walked up and totally took control of her life and her safety? Not good. So you want to give her a chance to feel like she's in control. So you'd say, hey, Amy, I noticed that we've got this construction going on over here, and I want you to get through here safely. Where are you headed in this museum?
Over there. The Mastodon.
The Mastodon. She's learning her lines still. You want a kibble? Okay. So then she says, okay, well, I'm going to take you to the Mastodon. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my elbow right here. Feel free to grab my elbow with your hand. And she's going to hold it with just one hand. Because you ain't that nervous. You trust me a little bit. Okay. And so I'm going to walk her. But when I walk her, I say, I'm going to walk you down here. You talk to her. You know, you can talk to her. Hey, I'm going to take you over here to the Mastodon. And so far, it looks like it's this long straightaway first, and then we're going to turn. Okay, so let's go on down here. You notice she's coming freely. And then after we go down here a little bit, we're going to turn right, okay? Now, she's not fighting me turning right, okay? And Amy, we're going to turn right again, because we're going to eventually go back to where you were standing earlier, okay? Okay, stop. See? Now, she just went with me, and it was smooth, and she was able to do it. She didn't feel intimidated or forced or scared, and she had power. You know why she had power? Because she was holding my elbow. I wasn't holding her. She was holding my elbow. If she felt uncomfortable or scared beyond what she could handle, what could she do? That's all she has to do is let go. So she's still in power. Okay, so when you sighted guide somebody, you make sure you treat them with dignity and you keep them feeling like they have the power. Because when she's out there in the middle of nowhere, it's like being in the middle of space when someone's dragging you somewhere because you're not making the plan. So you're just out there where the stars and the moon and you're just floating. Well, that's a little uncomfortable when someone doesn't tell you that's where you're going. Okay? You can take that off, okay. Amy. Amy, give Amy a hand. Thank you so much for your help. Good job, Amy. Good job. All righty. So later on, you guys are going to have the opportunity to try out some sighted guide. And that's going to be fun. I enjoy watching that. So start thinking of a partner soon because you're going to need to. Okay, so this is just talking about some of the other activities that a service animal can help with. You see, I said that the guide dogs were for the blind, but there are other kinds of service animals that help with regular everyday tasks that the person cannot do for themselves. Okay, and you're going to probably see some of these in the library, in the museum also. You notice these things that people are doing are not some giant monumentous things like, you know, climbing Mount Everest or doing something. They're doing stuff that you like to do, just normal everyday activities. And so, yes, why should they not have some way to still accomplish this where they don't have to impede on another human being? And I think it just the independence is off the chain. It allows, okay? This is another situation also, okay? All right, question.
What if a service animal barks or growls at other people or otherwise acts out of control?
Now this is a common question because people say, well then what about in this kind of situation where the dog is out of control? First of all, this is going to be very rare, and at that point you might want to wonder if this actually is a service dog because they tend to be very well behaved. However, if one does, you do have the right to exclude him from the building or activities because of them being threatening the safety of other patrons. Now it can't be where the person's just afraid of dogs or the person has allergies, because that's just going to be, that's something they have to live with all throughout the world, not just here inside the building. But if one is threatening the safety of a person in the building, growling, barking, vicious, then you don't have to have them admitted. You can deny access, okay? Keep, not necessarily. They won't be vicious and growling, and they won't attack anybody else. If there's something about to happen and the person is using the service dog, and the dog would try to alert them specifically, and usually their alert won't be growling, barking, mean. There's a difference in a bark that says, "Oh my gosh, look out!" You know, it's totally different than a teeth showing, you know, hair on the back, standing up kind of bark. So it's a little bit different, okay? It's not a regular kind of bark. I'm glad you cleared that up because that's not what I'm talking about, okay? If you do have to exclude someone that way, you have to make sure that the public accommodation is still offered to that person without the guide dog or the service dog or whatever. You can't say, hey, we're throwing you out because your dog is you're saying the dog can't be here because it's risking the safety of other people. However, you are very welcome. Okay? Y'all? Hello? Okay. All right. Now, this is a recap here. Okay, so again, the person with a disability has the right to be accompanied by a service animal, and there are different kinds of harnesses, and they do not have to have the certification or documentation with them. They might have it, but it can't be grounds for admittance or non-admittance, okay? And the public accommodation, you can ask the service animal, how many questions? 2. Good, wow, look at y'all. Here, since y'all got that, you think you're all that. Anyone can name one of the questions.
What work or task is the animal trained to perform?
Go ahead! Y'all give her a hand. That was tight. I did not think she could do. I didn't think anybody could get that. It took me weeks. Who got the second one? Anyone got the second one?
I wrote it down.
She gets something for writing it down. Give her a hand, y'all. The second question is the service animal there for you for a disability, a reason of a disability? That's my paraphrase version, but that's what that is. Okay. Reckless endangerment. And that means even if you have a regular pet dog and it endangers the safety of a service dog, you're under the same trouble of the second-degree misdemeanor is the same as not letting the animal, or reckless endangerment of the safety of the animal in this building, okay? So if you guys don't admit them in, or if you grab the harness and pull the dog, which is what I experienced, the person can be in trouble for a second-degree misdemeanor on the first offense and a first degree for any subsequent events, okay? So it's not one of those things where it's best practices. Keep in mind it is, you know, the law, you know, it's like law. Okay, I have that again because I wanted to have the judge, just to give that last bit of look out. The judge is going to, here come the judge. Remember that a long time ago. Okay. Now, someone out there was asking me about the recourse in the situation where if you don't know whether the service dog is really a service dog, and I was talking about that there's a law trying to pass right now. We're almost done. It got through the first committee where it's unlawful to knowingly try to pass your regular pet off as a service dog. This is that particular bill. Okay, and here's the long part of it, you know, if you want to read it. I know it's long and a lot of wordy, so I'm not going to make Brian read it. But the point is that it is a second-degree misdemeanor for that person too, okay? If they try to pretend that your service dog is your dog is a service dog. Now here's another thing. So I said to myself, you know, the big question that came up when I was in my situation was, show me some ID. Prove to this by showing me some ID. Let me see your paperwork. Here's a question. Do y'all even know what kind of paperwork you're looking for? Do you even know what it's supposed to look like? Okay, so that's probably a not good question anyway, which is part of the reason for that law. Because apparently anybody could get fake paperwork. And I know we got, you know, Kinko's and, do they have Kinko's in this state? Yeah. Okay, so we got Kinko's and Staples and all that stuff. But it's easy to get it. Apparently it's easier than I thought, because I just went and did some research when I saw about that law. Get this, on Amazon, you can pay $22.50 plus free shipping and get your choice of 2 large credit card tags or 3 small tags plus 1 large card, or any combination thereof with 2 printed cards and IDs. And all you have to do is send in a picture of your dog, write down what you think he does for you, put your phone number on there, and bam, you got a service dog. I was really disappointed. You know, this really messes things up for us that have real service dogs, that people can get away with doing this, hence the reason for the law. Here's something else. They had the audacity to quote the ADA on the back of the card. So the person looking at it, you know, unsuspecting, you know, y'all pick it up and go, oh, okay. Oh, well, I heard that woman talk about ADA, and that's probably it. Okay, so yeah, you can come in. I mean, how would you know? You know, so this law is really important that's trying to pass. And I do feel for y'all that it gets to be, you know, that it gets to be somewhat ambiguous for you to figure out whether they are. But you can just, the harness is on there. No, I'm not calling you. I promise you, sit. The harness is on there for most service dogs, or the vest. And I know you can sometimes buy those too, but if it's going to state guide dogs for the blind, they don't just give it to anybody. As a matter of fact, when your dog retires, you have to return that harness. So just keep in mind that the law is there to protect you when it comes to trying to figure out if a service dog isn't really a service dog. Okay? But it's really, it really blew me away. And the fact that it comes from a company called coolhubcaps.com. You got to know something's wrong when the person is, you just got to know. And it's really something else, okay? This was just what was left over on it, because it takes 1 to 2 business days to get it. So we're in a hurry, and I know I'm going to, you know, someplace, and I can just, you know, whippity split, you know. I was looking at this page because what I was trying to hope I was going to see was them saying, and provide us with the certification from your, you know, a copy of the certification from your guide dog school or service dog school or blah, 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 but nada, nothing. Okay? So keep in mind, you know, that you guys are the first people we see when we come to your buildings, your establishments, the museum, that type of thing. And not only are you the first person we see, but you guys, what we remember the place as being. How you guys treat us with the service dogs, and how whether you keep us with our dignity and all that is how we view the place we've been to. All the beautiful collections they have downstairs, and excellent architecture, and that wonderful piano that plays music out there that looks like a fighter, a jet. All that quails to how y'all treat us when we come in. Okay? So please remember these laws, and I'm going to give you guys, we're not done because this is just the first part. What I'm going to give you guys is like a 16-minute video about service dogs and how they start from scratch. Okay?
Question,
Mm-hmm.
ma'am. You had described to us what might happen if a service dog was acting out, if you will.
Uh-huh.
And the patron, of course, would be allowed access to the site.
Right.
But the dog would not be.
Yeah, so he would have to call somebody and probably leave the dog with whoever that person is, and then come on back. I think the main reason that they put that in the law also, because it's in there too, you'll see it on the sheets you guys have, is because we just want to make sure that we're not making it seem like we're telling the person we're not happy with you. Well, you know, this is the dog.
That would be something that would be remote. Is that correct? These dogs are well trained now?
Generally, yes, generally. I mean, I can't say for every time because it depends on the handler, depending, you know, how they kept their dog in the training that they're supposed to. But generally, I mean, really, I've been back and forth and up and down and flicking lights and things like that. And he's just sort of, you know, fine. Aside for his Vanna White moment that he's, you know. So, yeah, okay. So, you got another one?
I was going to ask a question. I've known some people that tell me, yeah, this is my service dog, but they don't have a harness. They carry him on a leash like any pet. Wouldn't all service dogs have a harness as yours does?
Well, here's the thing. According to the law, that's supposed to not be an indicator officially of whether or not they're a service dog or not, because sometimes when I'm out with my dog and we might be just going to the park, I'm not going to have the harness on him and he's going to be just regular. So sometimes you might, you know, find that. Although generally they would have something on. And if I do ever go when I'm just going with just the dog and no harness, that's probably one of the times that I would carry something because I know that there's really nothing to go on. But yeah, you would have to hope. That's where those two questions would come in, honestly. Because if I saw that and you asked the person, what service does that dog do for you, or is it because of a disability or something like that, or what task is the dog, what is it? She knows.
What task has this animal been trained to perform?
Amen. So if you ask her, very well done. If you ask that and the person says, oh, it's an emotional support dog, because then you've got, emotional support dogs aren't covered by the ADA. PTSD dogs are, because PTSD is a whole nother animal, boy, than just emotional need. You'll be grateful the person with PTSD has that animal. Okay. All right. Anybody question? Uh-huh.
You said that you couldn't allow the dogs to go in, that you couldn't tell the dogs that they couldn't go in if it was for like the armadillo thing, even if the armadillo was alive.
Now I kind of misspoke there.
Okay. Like if the animals if they're going to come into contact with other animals, is it okay to warn the person that, hey,
there's another animal.
There's another animal in the other room?
Greatly so. I've got a story, okay? One time, now I didn't even pick it up. One time I was out at the zoo. And nowadays the zoos will tell you it's strongly suggested that you do not bring the animal, blah, 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 blah. And most people with common sense would say, okay, I'm not bringing him. And here's why. Because I went in there not knowing that it was my first guide dog, so I didn't know. And I went to the monkey exhibit. I thought that would be simple. And it was funny. We're standing there, and there's all these people, and the monkeys are all over in the trees, and suddenly monkey gets a little closer, and then 3 or 4 monkeys get over a little closer, and then 10 or 12 monkeys come up a little closer. And before we know it, we had the whole group, and they were posturing because they saw this as a threat, like a lion just walked in. So I didn't realize I could be messing up some major stuff by having the dog. So frankly, I don't do that. If it's going to cause some harm to even like a zoo, and it's going to cause harm to people or an animal, that's good reason to say, hey, you might not want to. We can't really have him in by the lion exhibit. I did that in Houston too. I seem like I didn't learn. I went to an aquarium in Houston. An aquarium, that's fish. Fish aren't going to mind the dog, right? That's where I'm thinking. Fish, we're good. So I go walking in there, and I get through oh, look at the pretty colors. And I went to the next one, and then I don't know why they had a tiger at this aquarium. And I walked in, and I saw statues, because, I don't have very good vision. So I just remember seeing a bunch of statues, and people were all in there with the little kids. And I just thought, oh, this is a just cute exhibit on, I don't know, the Mayan culture. I just didn't know. And then all of a sudden, all I remember seeing was the underside of a giant tiger, not a little baby tiger now. This tiger was like somebody's grandpapa tiger, okay? And he had jumped into the glass, didn't care whether he hit the glass because it just went and it shook the glass. People are running. The people who work there, someone grabs me and confiscates me and the dog and drags me to another room just because they were like, you need to stay back here so the animal can't see you because he sees it and he tried to attack. So I don't know how many more times he's going to keep going to the glass. So that was rather scary, and I kept saying, but I just went to the aquarium. It's supposed to be fish. So you just generally, at a place where there's animals, it's wise not to bring. Okay.
What about animatronics? Like how that armadillo downstairs does move. Would that startle the dog?
It won't startle the dog, yeah, because you'll see in this video, they take them to we train them to everything, around everything. Pigs, horses, cats, dogs, you know, everything. So, yeah, I'm not worried about them being startled. I'm worried about the other thing being startled. Yeah, the animatronics, that is a trip, because when the thing moved, it startled me. I was like, I know that deal is not moving. Okay, let me get to the video. 16 minutes, okay, guys?